Hello, welcome. My name is Tracy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Australia. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're going to make a masculine card using the Geared Up Garage bundle from the Stampin' Up Occasions catalogue. Now there's a couple of really great features that I want to quickly show you on this card. The first one is it's not a full card. I've chopped a little bit off the edge here so it has a little bit of an extra element there, so it opens up to a piece of designer series paper, but when it's closed you can still see that designer series paper. The second thing that I really want to show you is that embossing in the background. That's using the Stampin' Up embossing mats, and I'm going to show you how to use them as well. So the last thing that I just want to quickly show you is, and I'm not sure how well that picks up, but the lights, the wheels and the windscreen have all been hit with, oh there we go, been hit with the fine tip glue pen to give it that real shiny effect. So that just makes a little extra piece to the card. And the very last thing I'm just going to quickly show you is I've used a stamping blend to colour in a rhinestone, so just to give that little bit of extra bling, but making it blend all together with the card with a Night of Navy. Okay, so for this card, the supplies we're going to need are the Geared Up Garage stamp set and the matching framelits, which are Garage Gears Thinlet dies. So we're using the gears here for that embossing background. We have Memento ink, Everyday Label Punch, which I've used for the end of this tag. We have some black baker's twine. I have the light and dark Night of Navy Stampin' Blends. We have the Big Shot embossing mats, and to do the embossing background here we're using the Night of Navy colour mat. It's a really thin silicone mat, and also the hard plastic mat as well. So I have my card kit here, and all the measurements and supplies can be found over my blog. There is a link to that blog post in the description of this video. There's also a link to my online store, so if you're after any Stampin' Up supplies, you can go over to my store, pop in that hostess code for this month, and I'll send you out a free gift. So we have a couple of pieces. The first one is the Crumb Cake card base. Now it's a normal half an A4 it's been scored down the middle, but I've just chopped off 1/2 inch on one side, so when it's folded we have that 1/2 inch border just here. So I'm just going to bring the bone folder in and burnish that edge really well. The other pieces that we have here are the basic black cardstock, which is our matting here, grey granite cardstock, which we're going to do our embossing of those dies, which is the gears. We have a piece of Night of Navy, piece of Whisper White, which we're going to stamp our car, and then this is Botanical Butterfly Designer Series paper. So this is a free item in the Celebration catalogue, and I've just got a strip of that that's going to go down on that bottom piece of our card front, just to give it that little bit of extra interest. So what we might start with first is we might start with the stamping. So I'm going to bring in that car stamp and also the Memento Tuxedo black ink. Let's ink that up. I'm just going to stamp that off onto the right hand side. There we go. That's the only stamping that we're doing. So I'm going to pop this over to the side just to let that dry before we attack it with the stamping blends. I just like to give the Memento just a little bit of time to dry beforehand. So let's bring our card front in again. I'm going to glue that Botanical Butterfly piece down. So let's bring in some multi-purpose glue. I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue down on that. We want to leave a nice little border around that piece. There we go. So that sort of covers that designer series paper up. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in the basic black. We're not doing anything with this, so let's just stick that down with the Tombow glue. Also just sticking that down, leaving our little border around the edge. Now let's bring the big shot in. We'll do this embossing as well as this die cutting for our stitched rectangle shapes. So one thing I did forget to mention was I'm using the rectangle stitched framelit dies, and I'm using this smallest rectangle die here. I'm going to cut it out with the Night of Navy, so let's pop that one through. That gives us our cutout piece, and you can also use this on another card. The next one we're going to use is the grey granite piece. So for this one we need the Night of Navy silicone matte as well as the hard plastic one. And I'm going to grab all the dies out that we're going to need for that, which I'm using every single. I'm using all these gears that are on here. Now it's quite a few of them, and I also found it was easier to use washi tape to stick them down. So got all those there. I'm just going to place them on my grey granite where I want them. So just like that, I'm going to bring some washi tape in. Always just pop it on my hand first, just to take some of that sticky off, because when we take it off our cardstock, we don't want it to rip. So let's place them down on the dies. Now the other thing is too, is when you're embossing with dies, you have to place the dies facing upwards. So it's a little bit different than how we usually die cut. I'll show you that as well. And one last one. So I have my dies ready to go. I'm going to place my cutting pad on top of the die, so straight down like that. I'm going to turn it over, because when we're embossing, our dies have to face upwards. When we're die cutting, our dies face downwards. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the blue matting on top and then the hard plastic on top of that. Going to open my platform up to the embossing platform, and then I'm just going to place this through and run it through. It's going to feel like it really hasn't done anything, but let me just show you what it's done. Now doesn't cut through your mat. Look at that. We've embossed all those gears down onto our cardstock. You see that? So let's get rid of all these. And that's what we're left with. Okay, so we're going to colour in our car now. Just bringing in my mat because it does go through. I'm going to start off with the dark Night of Navy. And I just want to go around the grill. I'm also going to go just down the bottom here. I'll come back through and I'll do the side mirrors and the handles. Let's bring the light one in. We're going to colour the rest of the car in. Coming in with the dark, I'm just going to go over that side mirror and the handle. Now I'm not actually going to colour in with the fine tip glue pen until all the cards together. But for this gorgeous little edging here, I'm going to bring in the Everyday Label punch. I'm going to feed it into the side here. So just like that. And then I'm going to line it up so it's in the middle. And then I can punch. So it just takes that little bit off. Just gives it another little bit of a extra decoration. I've also coloured in the rhinestone previously just to give it a few minutes to dry. And all you're going to do is you bring your Stampin' Blends in, colour it in with the fine tip pen. The fine tip end is the easiest one to use, and leave it to dry for a few minutes. But you can colour any of your dimensionals in any colours of the blends that you have to match your project. So it's a really great tip as well. So we're going to pop this card together, and I'm going to just glue down that Night of Navy rectangle that we die cut. Just going to place it down. Now with our car, I'm just going to run some black baker's twine around, just a couple of times. And then I'm just going to tie a knot. Don't want really long tails for the end of this. Just gives that little bit of extra decoration. And we're going to pop this up with some dimensionals. Got some end ones here, so I'll use them first. I might put one on the end as well. I'll just cut a little bit off. Okay. So we're going to pop that one up just there. Also going to bring in that rhinestone. Pick one of them up. Just placing it down on that corner. And we're just going to use some multi-purpose glue again. Sticking this one down. You can pop it up if you wanted. I thought it was enough just having that piece popped up. But a very quick masculine card. Comes together really quite easily. Now I also have my fine tip glue pen. So let's go over those. Got the lights here. And this does take a little while to dry, so if you are making this card, make sure you have plenty of time for it to dry. And just on the wheels as well. Okay, you can see that shiny gloss there. So let's pop that to the side. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed today's masculine card. Lastly, I just want to quickly bring in that Geared Up Garage stamp set again. This is a wonderful masculine stamp set, and the die set is a 14-piece die set that covers most of the stamps images here, as well as all those gears that we've just used for the outline here. But the other thing is on the back it has this huge large gear that is one die, and that would look really great on as the background as well. So I hope you'll look at this set. Again, thanks so much for joining me, and I hope to see you again very soon. Bye bye.